very happy evening to one and all. Thank you for being here this evening. I'm Preet Chandankar, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Engineering, Ramrao Institute of Technology, affiliated to DY Patil deemed to be University, popularly called as RAIT. On behalf of Department of Computer Engineering, RAIT, I welcome you all for this webinar session. RAIT firmly believes in new form of engineering education, which includes equal significance on leadership building, academics, and extracurricular skills with industry exposure. RAIT has highest number of campus placements in Mumbai region. It is being a reputed institute for engineering courses. RAIT ranked between 1 to 100 universities by NRIF. Department of Computer Engineering has started the cutting-edge technology specialization like data science, information security, and AI/ML, which are presently in demand in today's industry. At RAIT, both faculties and students aim to achieve all-round development. There is a constant interaction with the industry experts to provide a realistic view of the demands of today's industry. One such activity is our technical webinar session. So, our today's webinar session is on design thinking by Dr. Sarika Lohana. Design thinking is a buzzword used and emerging skills needed for everything from the launching of new product, service ideas, to find out more about your target audience. Design decisions majorly impact the future of any business and its profitability. Companies like Apple, Microsoft, Intel, TCS have popularly adopted this methodology, and almost all Fortune 500 companies are into design thinking today. It's my pleasure to introduce our today's speaker, Dr. Sarika Lohana. Dr. Sarika Lohana is a life coach, NLP practitioner, and trainer at Scopin, Bangalore, with 13 years of diversified experience in research and academics. Her expertise lies in the area of NLP research, design thinking, finance behavior, and BFSI sector. We are very glad to have you with us, ma'am. I warmly welcome Dr. Sarika Lohana and request you to kindly start with the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. My voice is audible?
Yes, ma'am. You're audible, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, ma'am. You're audible. Yes,
yeah. Let me share my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible now.
Good evening, one and all present here. And it gives me an immense pleasure to be the part of this technical webinar series. And I am really thankful to Dr. Preet Kaur and Dr. Vaibhav Narwade sir for inviting me for this series. And today we are going to discuss about the topic that is design thinking. Before starting to this topic, let me ask you, like, success, to be successful, what is the key important, aspects we need, or what is the definition of success for us?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Definitely, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Your slides are not in presentation mode, ma'am.
Now it is okay, ma'am?
No, still it is not in the presentation mode.
Okay, 1 second. I will just stop sharing and reshare it.
Yes, ma'am.
Now is it okay, ma'am?
Still, it is not in the presentation mode, ma'am. It in the presentation mode, and then you can share your screen, ma'am. So that would be okay.
Okay. Is it now okay?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely fine.
Yeah. So before starting with the topic of design thinking, I just want to discuss about what is the success for us, like how we define success. To be successful for students or for the earners or for the entrepreneurs, the definition may vary from person to person. So being successful could be like earning a lot of money. What should be the size of that money or how much the money we want to earn? It's also case to case variation. Even our success can be defined from the job profile we are bearing, or we can say the success can be also defined from the position we are having in any organization or whatever. But we feel that success could be achieving what we have targeted or what we have, a goal set for our life and to achieve that. And that is differentiating from person to person. But here, when we talk about achieving a goal set or achieving a target, this target cannot be achieved in a single day. It needs a continuous process, it needs a dedication, it needs a hardship, and it is not a default process. But I will say that it is a very well planned activity. A well planned activity to achieve your targets and goals need a key. The key could be successful person will have a key to achieve those targets, and that key is smart. What is the smart? Let me elaborate this smart. Smart, S stands for self discipline. A person who is an entrepreneur or a student or an employee, anybody, the first step to success will be self discipline. The second is motivation, M for motivation. A motivator. A person should be a self motivator. He should, you know, always been keen to come up with the new ideas and come up with a solution, and should have an attitude. A stands for attitude. That is positive attitude towards the problems, towards the decisions, towards the situations in their life or in their business or in any activity. And R stands for regularity or consistency. Whatever you do, you need to have a consistency rather than putting your rather than you should lose your patience, or you should try to discontinue the activity in between if you are facing some problems or challenges. Then you can't come up to that achieving that success or achieving that goal. So a regularity or a consistency is really important whenever you are doing any task or whenever you are doing some activities. And finally, T stands for time management. So if you have a complete blend of all these smart, that is self discipline, motivator, attitude, regularity, and time management, then definitely this can help you out to achieve your dream, to achieve your goals, and to be successful. It has been well mentioned that you should dream beyond your capacity, because if dreams are not beyond your capacity, then those are not your dreams, then those are your plans. So planning is there, But if you are going to achieve extraordinary, then definitely this extraordinary capacity is going to give you a good, successful outcome. Few of these studies have, uh, quoted that Generation Z populations are growing and they need these skills. Now, which skills they need, I would like to focus here that where they are needing, creating an attention that is for design thinking. Design thinking, as already Madam has introduced the topic, it's a buzzword. Definitely, it is a buzzword. Why it is a buzzword? Let me explain you. Top skills in 2015. If you see on the screen, you will find that the top skill, the top five design thinking was at the fourth rank, and the first three were like complex problem solving, coordinating with others, people management is the third position, and at the fourth position, it's design thinking. Now, if you check with the current status, like what are the 10 top skills the student or the employee should have in 2021, so you will find that design thinking is having a second position. Now, why this second position is there for design thinking? And the uh, the the idea here is the importance of the topic, the importance of the concept. Design thinking uh, is an innovative way of problem solving, definitely, which is, a process rooted through in a set of skills, and it is a combination of varieties of skills, you can say, which was, developed by Tim Brown, a CEO and president of design company IDEO, which was, been introduced by him in the year 2008 in his article called Design Thinking in Harvard Business Review. So since then, the topic design thinking was, incorporated in the businesses, in the entrepreneurship, and people are now using this design thinking in the industry, in the social platform, like social sector, and even other sectors also. It's not only related to only business problem, but you can also solve social problem with this design thinking. Since this design thinking is process, developing new concepts, new products, new services, and also identifying the challenges in the society, maybe in any of these sectors, and identifying the challenges later on, just providing a creative solution to those challenges or to those problems is what we can say is the design thinking. Now, in this webinar, I will be focusing on these three major topics. The first one is the key concepts and the principles of design thinking. The second, mindset of a design thinker. And the next is design thinking process and methods and tools. So this topic is a very extensive topic. It needs much more time to study in depth. But this webinar will give you a just an overlook on how this topic is and what the concept talks about, which are the tools we can use and how they are applied in the industry. The objective will be to show all these things. As per Tim Brown, he has quoted design thinking is a human centered approach to innovation that draws from the designer's toolkit to integrate the need of people, the possibility of technology, and the requirement for business success. Now, with this definition or with this definition or this quote from Tim Brown, you can just have some keywords from this quoted statement that what is design thinking is a human centered approach, definitely, but it needs an innovation, it needs an integration. What for integration? What for innovation? To solve the problem by using the technology and also satisfying the requirements of the business success. So, definitely, this design thinking is having a process, and the process is, as you can see on the slide, there are some ladders of this process in design thinking. And a comparison is made how human thinking is done and how design thinking is done. We'll see one by one how these ladders are achieved. Design thinking has a vision. The vision, what's the future we are trying to create? See the word called create here. This means we are not going to use what is already existing, but we are going to just adapt a new innovative idea to develop the design thinking model. Whereas in a human thinking approach, the vision is whose future will this impact? Like we are focusing on like whose future will be impacted with whatever the decision will be taken in the human thinking process. The second ladder is problem. What's the pain we want to address? In design thinking, we will focusing on the pain point of the problem, where the issue is there and how that issue will be addressed will be the next part. But where the issue is, what is the issue exactly? What is the pain point we need to address is the focus of the design thinking. Whereas in the human thinking, we directly go on the second stage, which is talking about solution. First, we are thinking about whose future we are impacting, and the second will be who will see the value of this solution, like who will be benefited with this solution. The solution is discussed over there. In the third ladder, when we talk about design thinking, experiment is the third ladder where what's the test that will prove this value? This means what is the model we are going to develop to solve or to provide a solution to the problem. That is called an experiment. That is a creation. And in human thinking, we also just put an experiment, but who will be involved in this testing? Like who will be involved in this test? Or the experiment will be applied on whom? Will be discussed, which is discussed in this experiment part in human thinking. The fourth ladder is feedback in design thinking, which talks about do we have evidence to prove this value? This means what is the process we are going to follow, and do there is a feasibility to provide the process and to make it really user oriented, or it is a there is a usability or not of this experiment. So that is a feedback over there in design thinking. And human thinking also we have a feedback, but whose needs, you know, who needs to know the result, like who is going to get satisfied with these results and who is going to get aware about these results. And finally, the last stage or the ladder for this design thinking is an outcome. Like what do we need to make to deliver, like what is the outcome of this product or what is the outcome of this model in the design thinking. And human thinking, the output will be whose job is going to get affected with this new part. This means what could be the output for the human centric process will be the new pathway for the users, like that. So we have seen that how design thinking is really differentiated with the human thinking, whereas in design thinking we focus on problem and then the solution or experiment for them. But in human thinking we talk about directly the solution and then the experiments and feedback and outcome. Take an example in a normal business of course, how business they take decision. They just take there is a issue, just they try to apply the solution as a trial and error method. And if the trial and error is not successful, then again they go with more modulation in the solution and just they try to fit the solution to the problem. This is how the human tendency is there in the general context. But design thinking is something different out of that. It's not similar as human thinking. It talks about, first of all, identify the problem. The problem needs to be identified. Second, list out the solutions which we can provide to the problem, maybe 1 to 10 solutions, and then sort out the top 10 solutions, the best solutions we can apply over there, but with the help of some models. And if the models are experimented, the feasibility is experimented, then the final solution is suggested in design thinking. So these are the few brands who use design thinking, and already madam has also quoted few of the brands who are currently using this design thinking, and really it is helping these companies to be more successful because of the technology impact in this, because of the people and process impact in this. In the coming slides I will explain you how in the technology, the business, and the people, they are just giving a blend of, impact on this design thinking model. So why we need a design thinking? The need of design thinking is, number one, to understand the mindset of the people you are building this for. This is, we have to be empathetic. We need to understand our customer. We need to understand our employee. For whosoever we are preparing this model, we need to understand those stakeholders, and from their point of view, we have to think how the problem look like. Then the next step is to develop a deep understanding about the unmet needs. So whatever the problem is there, whatever the area of, the gray area is there, that gray area need to be have and a proper deep understanding about what are the unmet needs of these stakeholders which are to be addressed. Next, consideration of a wide and fresh array of solutions. So what are the solutions for those problems? What are the solutions for those gray areas that are to be listed out? And avoiding the pitfall of imposing the wrong solutions. In the human centric, in the human thinking approach, or in the traditional approach, you will find we try to impose the solution in the trial and error. But this trial and error, we are wasting our money, we are wasting our time, we are wasting our resources to just stick the solutions to the problems for the time being. But design thinking is talking about we need to avoid such type of, wrong solutions to the businesses, because it is going to eat our resources also. Now, till this, I think we all have understood what is design thinking. Number one could be the human centered, it's a human centered approach to solve the problem. Number two, it will be it help us to understand the customer's unmet need and wants. It also encourages us to create a wide array of innovation solutions, and it is as much as it is as much a mindset as a process. So it's a whole process, mindset process, which will help us to solve the problems. Now, at a high level, the steps involved in design thinking process are very simple. It's very simple to understand this concept, and there are four elements in this concept. The first one will talk about fully understanding the problem, that is called human centered. Understanding the problem, human centered is the key for that. The second is exploring the wide range of possible solutions, that is called highly creative. The possible solution for the problem, but it should be creative one, it should be in creative nature. The third is iterate extensively through a prototyping and testing. So developing a prototype, whatever you have provided a solution, that should have a prototype to give a replication of your idea through a model or through a 3D diagram, or it should be through a, some paperwork. You can express and you can present what is the thought process to solve that problem and what are the solutions. And finally, the implementation part, the implementation through the customary development mechanism, that should be in a hands-on. It's not like you have created a design which is only on a paper, but there is no feasibility, there is no hand-on experience for that. So that is not a design thinking. The design thinking should have a implementation part also, that the customer, the employee, or the stakeholder should able to hands on it, and should have an effective feel or experience of that thinking or that thought process or that solution. So the skill set associated with these steps of, it's all applying a creativity and effective way of solving the real world problems. Now you can see this process. This process is called process innovation in design thinking. And this process innovation is a combination of business, technology, and people. Business talks about viability of the project, if the project is really viable. Technology talks about the feasibility of the project, and people talks about reusability and desirability of the project. So it's a combination of all these three. But if you can see here, the combination of business and people, it's an emotional innovation. Now, what is emotional innovation? It's a merge of business and people, where you are satisfying the people wants and their need and using the business innovative ideas into that. So it's called innovation, but it's an emotional innovation. The second combination is the business and technology, viability and feasibility, which is also known as functional innovation. We have a blend of business model and an accountability of technology into it. So it's a combination of both. And the third one is process innovation, which talks about ease of use and eco-friendly of that model. So where we can conclude like that design thinking is nothing but a combination of emotional innovation, functional innovation, and process innovation. And it also talks about viability, feasibility, and usability. Now, there are three lenses of human-centered design. All the designs which are developed under the design thinking has to undergo with all these three lenses. The first lens is desirability. Now, what do people desire? Is the desire fulfilled over here, or still there are some elements which are untouched, need to be checked out? Next is feasibility. What is the technical and organizationally what is technically and organization feasible? Whatever the design is developed, do this design is really technically sound, and is it feasible for the organization to make it available for the customers or the stakeholders, or are there any challenges for those? So if challenges are there, definitely then the model cannot run in the real time way, and definitely it has to go through this check of feasibility also. And the last one is viability, that what can be a financial viable design thinking model? Is it a financial viable model? Whatever you have designed, it's very heavy in cost, high in cost, and our organization cannot afford it, or customers cannot afford it, or employees cannot afford it. So if the affordability is not there, then the model cannot clear this lens of viability. So all the models which are designed in this design thinking need these lenses to be cleared, and until and unless these lenses are clear, the success of the model cannot be defined. Now, we will talk about how this idea creations can be done. As we know, if we have a data, we know that every time we are surrounded with data, we are on social media, we are on on internet. The data are shared from here and there, and recently the data privacy bill is also there in the parliament for the approval. Now data which is segregated in some colors, you can see the second figure next to the data, it's called information, where you see the dots are being colored now in green and purple. This means we have segregated data in, maybe it's a gender if we consider, and greens are male and uh, purple are females. Then we can say that is the information that whosoever the pictures are there in the screen on the screen, that is segregating the data into two categories, male and female. Green are male and purple are female. But what could be a knowledge? The knowledge could be the connectivity of this information in a structured format, in a flow format. That is a knowledge. Now, if the knowledge get in an insight, it is a connectivity between from one dot to another dot. That is an insight. And again, if we go beyond that, if we create a root between the insight, then it could be a wisdom for us. And finally, if you create a beautiful design out of those connections, that is nothing but a creativity. So I can say that here design thinking is nothing but whatever the information you are gathering, the information is, putting an insightful in that and putting a knowledgeable context to that information and creating a model out of it is what we can say is the design thinking, which is very beautifully explained with this flow of data to creativity. Now, I was explaining all of you that how this, user, people experience play a very, very vital role in this design thinking. Because at the end of the day, there are the stakeholders who are people, who are human, who are going to use this, model in their day-to-day activities, into their daily routines, and their experience will also matter when we are talking about design success of design thinking model. Now, knowing the differences, what is the difference between user experience and user interface? User experience is talk is something which talks about user stories, usability testing, user research, and persona. That how the users, they are experiencing this all models, or what is the testing, how is it a usable, or it is not of use, or what is the research of user is talking about in this context, and do this design thinking models is helping that existing users persona to be developed. Okay, so is there any changes been happening with that user's well-being in this due to this research or due to this design thinking model? Now, the next element is user interface. Like in user interface, when you are using a technology to increase the experience of the user, then there comes the picture of uh, layout, visual design, and branding. The apps which you use, those comes into user interface. And suppose you are providing any untechnical product, that comes into user experience. So experience comes into untechnical and user interface comes into the technical context. What design thinking is not, like if you can understand design thinking is it for only creative people who knows arts, who knows drawing, who knows how to do a creativity? So not at all. It is for everyone. Anybody can be a design thinker. A narrow equation of aesthetic and craft. It is not just a brainstorming session. You are not going to do only a brainstorming session for this. And it's not a one day activity, it is a continuous process. It's a process to replace the analytical problem solving. So no, it is not like that, but it is enhancing the analytical problem solving process. It's not a silver bullet for all type of problem. This means, for example, if you develop a model, this is not the same model will run for the all problems. For every problem, you need to have a unique and independent process, and a unique process for the problem, and you should come with a unique solution for that problem. So it's not like that a single solution for all the problem. It's not like that. So what could be the benefit of design thinking? Design thinking is a complement for other problem solving techniques. So it's a advanced way of solving the problem. It helps the organization to become more innovative, to solve human problems, to increase customer satisfaction, and to gain the competitive advantage. So these are the benefits of having a design thinking processes in your organization. You can see on the screen, like the impact of design thinking, though the figures are a bit old, but it gives a clear picture about how the design thinking is creating an impact in the market. Around 219% of the growth rate was found from 2004 to 2014, and it is really a remarkable growth. And currently, also there are so many industries they are adopting this technology, this technique of problem solving. So let us discuss about the concept framework of this design thinking. And basically, when a company, start of processing design thinking, they start with empathizing. What is this empathizing? Empathizing is like, who is my user and what matter do the individual consider. Next is defining what are the needs of those customers and how we are going to uh, create a point of view that is based on the user's need. So need is identified by defining process. The third one is ideate, which is a brainstorming process, creating as many as possible solution for the problem. The fourth is prototype. In this, at this stage, what we do is we create an idea, providing a dummy model for the solution, and finally the testing one. So this is a framework of design thinking. Understanding this framework, we'll move ahead. A a design action plan is a series of action phases that execute the design thinking process. Now we have an action plan for this. It's a continuous process. It's an action process. So it is a plan process also. A mindset is a set of thinking traits and behavior that run the design thinking process consistently and effectively. So it's a combination, we can say. It's run together, what action plan as well as the mindset. Now design thinking, the tools and the materials which are being used over here, we can see that we need a space where we can have a group discussions, and the space for collaboration. We need some tools like writing tools, cutting sticks, cameras, images, sketchbooks, papers, cardboards, whiteboards, walls, pins, pinboards, and cards, and some material for prototype. So these are the materials which are required to develop the sketch, to develop the prototype for design thinking. And the desired traits for design thinker will be, number one, he should be able to step into the shoes of your customer. The design thinker should, be empathetic. He should think from the user's point of view, stakeholders' point of view, and like to challenge the status quo, and rebelliously able to ask the right question even to the team head, should able to draw and sketch instead of putting some emails. The design thinker should be able to collaborate with multidiscipline meetings instead of working in silo, and should be able to look at to the big picture and think holistically, generating many ideas and not afraid of sharing to it. And also the thinker should find and reiterate alternatives to approach your desired goals. And there are so many failures also in this course of action, but should not hesitate to fail because it's a part of the process. It's not that all the models runs at one shot. There are repetitively corrections are needed for all the models, and definitely you need a practice and patience also. It is when we said by Albert Einstein that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the different results. So Here we are talking about creating an innovation. It could be an emotional innovation. It could be an technological innovation, or it could be people related innovation. So this innovation is needed when we are going with the design thinking, and it is a continuous process. It needs repeated actions. It needs a repeated action again and again. We need to try, and we have to come up with the results out of that. So finally, the model which is there on the screen, it is called it is called as double diamond approach. The model is a very effective model, and I will explain you in detail how this model works. This double diamond approach is a robust process. You can see the first part, which is starting from empathizing. Empathizing is called discovering. You have to be empathetic. Whatever the problem is there, go to uh, 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 go and understand the problem of the user, and try to understand the persona of that person, and then elaborate that persona in detail. If you don't elaborate this persona in detail, you will not be able to define the next process, which is defining is not possible. Now suppose I will give you an example here. There is a village, and the people in the village have a problem of drinking water facility, and the women have to work around 2 kilometers every day for this purpose. And even though they have a problem that they will get a dirty water for drinking, and it is also difficult for disabled women to get uh, to go for 2 kilometers away to get the drinking water. That's why a government over there in that village decided to provide tankers to the villagers, and they decided to locate these tankers at every half kilometer of that village. But they started charging rupees 10 per liter for providing this fresh drinking water. Still, it was observed that the public over there did not approach or did not took that facility, and they denied to take that facility. Now, how this design thinking approach can be applied here? If I apply here in empathetic way, and if this problem is to be addressed, now the address for addressing the empathize step, the first step of the design thinking, we would like to understand first of all what is the user's problem. That is, we need to interview the user why they are not approaching whatever the tankers which are provided by the government, why they are not taking that facility. So after interviewing those villagers, the information which is collected could be like the persona, income, family, how many kids are there, what is their background. Number two, how many people they are ready to pay that 10 rupees, 10 rupees for 10-liter can. So very few people they approach positively, and many of they said that they don't need this facility because it is a paid facility. If it could be a free facility, definitely they could have gone through. But the challenge is they don't want to go with a paid facility. And second, they feel that they don't want 10 liters can at a single point of time or at a single purchase. For 5-liter can also they can move ahead. So this is the persona analysis we need to do, that why the problem is there and how the persons they are reacting to that problem, and what is the actual the key areas we need to address. The next element here is define. What is define? Defining is to give an insight about what is the need and the value of the user. And identifying the need and the value of the new user, you can create the ideate, that is called developing the idea, like what are the solutions for those problems. An idea which is being provided here that can change the life of the person by providing that exact solution to the audiences, to the users. And the fourth step, it's called prototype, called delivery. Delivery of prototype means, again, you are providing them the exact two solutions or three solutions which can be, directly implemented. And finally, the test, which is called the implementation part of the design thinking model. Along with this five level of processes, there are, you can see here, divergent, conversion, which is mentioned over there, called double diamond approach. The first diamond talks about divergent, that the half portion of the first diamond is divergent. Divergent talks about divergent thinking, the thinking broadly, keep open mind, considering all the things, everything, situations, environment, persona of the stakeholders. And then convergent thinking, which is narrowing the thinking. Now you have to talk about what are the problems, what are the key problems, what are the exact, pain points of the users. This is narrowing the concept. And then the second diamond talks about, again, divergent, list out the ideas. Now what are the list out the ideas? Listing out the ideas could be from 1 to 10, maybe the possible solution you want to provide to the problem. And the next part of the diamond is convergent, that is again narrowing the solution, converting your specific values and need analysis, and then coming up with only two or three solutions to that problem, which are, very effective solutions to this. So this is whole about two double diamond approach in design thinking, which talks about divergent and convergent thinking. Divergent thinking talks about thinking broadly, covering all the aspects, and convergent is nothing but narrowing the concept and coming up with the single solution or double solution, or one or two solution to that problem. Now, how this empathetic happening? Empathetic process happens with the empathetic way or empathetic mapping, we can say. On the screen you can see how the empathetic way the process is done. The pain point and the gain point is analyzed, and the stickers are labeled over there. In the similar fashion, you can make your own analysis for the problem, and you can identify what are the pain points and what are the gain points in that problem, and then you can come up with a solution. Ideation method. In this ideation method, you can see method is creating choices. Conversion method is making choices. So in creating choices, you can use the techniques like brain writing, problem brainstorming, that is Nayaka, which is nothing but a SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat analysis of the problem, SWOT analysis, which is for the problem brainstorming. The third is sharing brainstorming, that is a NHK method, which is a Japanese technique. It is also called as egg beater. In this process, all the group members are given the key problems, and they have to come up with a brainstorming and the solution for the problem. And after discussing on those problem solutions, on the solutions, and after discussing on the solutions, they come up with a new solution, and that new solution is nothing but an output of the new product in this sharing brainstorming activity. The second pushing boundary activity is Scamper. It is an activity which is based on thinking process, which has been done on the basis of cooperative learning. And the next is what if activity. What if activity, some speculative situations are thrown in front of the group members, and suppose this happened, or suppose this is the condition, or this is a situation, then how the things will work and how the process will be done, or which product will be okay, or whatever the process will be there. So that this push boundary activity also given a clear idea about what could be the scenario and how the design could be developed. And in convergent method, when we make the choices, we have to make the choices. Number one, we can have a productization mapping, then affinity mapping, and we can have an idea evaluation also. So idea evaluation is also a very important tool, we can say, where we evaluate which is the feasible, like we can use those lenses also here. And the lenses are used to just to give a check for all the ideas, and which is the best idea can be selected over here. So ideation process is a very, very effective process and very important process. If something is missed in this, then again you have to come up back and just make a revision of this. So don't miss this process. It's a very important process for creating an idea. And this is a few examples of prototype. Like you can have a storyboard also to explain what you are thinking as a solution for your problem, and what are the physical environment which can affect the experience in your solution. So that can be put it in this format. This is one more model which was designed for tomato ketchup, and by using design thinking. This is also one more model, prototype, which is used for giving alert that the tank is filled, and to off the button of motor. This is a service design, the case of McDonald's, uh, design thinking process, providing a self-serve kiosk, which is used for providing effective service to the customer. And there are design thinking being used nowadays in schools also, in colleges also, for providing a good facility to their students and for their parents. So few examples of prototype from schools point of view also. And recently, one problem solving and design thinking activity was done by government school of this thing, Jharkhand, where they have used social distancing for the students during the COVID period. And it is really a very effective model, using a blackboard, uh, okay, for an individual student, by providing a social distancing, and and giving them education over there. So it's an example from a government school in Jharkhand. So again, there's a quote from Steve Jobs: "The design is not what it look like or feels like. Design is how it works." So a design need to work, and it should give a feel and interface or experience to the user. Then only we can say that the design is a perfect design. So in a nutshell, I would like to conclude. Design thinking is a human centered approach. It's a collaborative approach. It's not a one man show. It need a team. It's an optimistic approach, and it's really an experimental approach. So thank you so much for being the part of this webinar. Over to you, ma'am. I'm open with the question answer. Hello.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really a wonderful session. So
Yes, ma'am.
over to Pallavi, ma'am. Pallavi, ma'am.
Yes, please, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
Hello.
Just a minute. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sarika Lohana, ma'am, for such a wonderful session. Now, let's take few questions from our participants. So the first question is, under empathy step, along with demographic details and needs, what other information we should focus on?
In the empathize step, we need to take the persona. Persona could be also what is the belief, then what is their perception, what is the traditional impact. Like in India, tradition is a very important element in persona. So people, they work along with their tradition also, their values and their beliefs. So this is also can be a point to consider in persona, as a persona in an empathetic way. Second will be the pain point of the customer. Like if I talk about the problem of a customer, could be, you know, they don't feel it good, or they have some experiences, bad experiences of some, in the transactions, okay, in any of the dealings, so their experience also matters a lot. Their income, family income, age, that is demographic is there, but what is their experience, that is also very important. Similarly, if we are going for an online shopping, suppose you are going to shop anything from Amazon, what you do, you would go for a rating of the product, and you also see how many people have given whatever the remarks are there, whatever the experience are there. Similarly, in similar fashion, experience of the customer play an important role. So that has to be considered in empathetic way, number one. Number two, the persona, that is what is their belief, what is their, expectation, what is their, values, and what is the tradition they are following. As per the tradition, as per their belief, and as per their, experience, we can develop the model accordingly.
Okay, ma'am. So the next question is, what is exact difference between empathy map and persona map?
Empathic map and persona map.
Yeah, ma'am.
Empathetic covers everything, madam. It covers the situation experience of the person, the overall experience of the person, their income, their age, okay, how they have considered the product, how they have, experienced the product, and the demographic variables. But in persona, the individual, belief system and perceptions and their experience is covered in persona.
Okay, ma'am. So thank you, ma'am. With this,
Yeah.
we have completed with the question answer session.
Okay, ma'am.
It's time to conclude our webinar session with vote of thanks. I, Pallavi Chitte, Assistant Professor on the behalf of Department of Computer Engineering, Ramrao Adik Institute of Technology, affiliated to DY Patil deemed to be university, would like to thank our today's speaker for conducting a very insightful session. We truly appreciate for giving wonderful insights on importance of design thinking. We're truly grateful to Dr. Sarika Lohana ma'am for sharing the importance and need of the design thinking, which is ever evolving software technology, and it has been taken in very absorbing and excellent way. Looking at the Facebook comment section, we are glad to know that our audience are truly derived pleasure from today's webinar session. Our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Sarika Lohana ma'am for sharing your findings and precious knowledge with all the participants. Thank you so much, ma'am, once again. I'm sure the participants have enjoyed the session a lot and they can utilize this knowledge wherever required in future. We are grateful to your valuable time and contribution, ma'am. With this, we come to the end of our today's webinar session. We look forward to meet you all in our upcoming webinar sessions. Thank you for joining us. Thank you all. Have a good day. Stay safe.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.